So, good morning. Second year Bcom Computer Applications Semester 3. Similarly, second year BA Computer Applications Semester 3 Rdbms or Rdbms data models. What are the different data models? What are data models? What are the different types of data models? What are their how they are used, when they are used? What are their features, applications, examples? It is an essay type question. So, what is the importance of data models? Means relatively simple representations, usually graphical, of complex real-world data structures, facilitate integration among the designer, the application programmer, and the end user. So, data models are used. They are small tools. The data models are some tools, some graphic tools, or some diagrams, pictures, like that. They are used to represent the logical diagram of, or logical view of a database, using some graphics of a real time or a real world problems means like banking, insurance, and other type of applications like that. So, data model basic building blocks. So, entities in data models, we are using different terms like entities, attribute, relationship, constraint. So, what is entity? Anything about which data are to be collected and stored. Attribute is a characteristic of an entity. Relationship describes an association among entities, generally one to many relationship, many to many relationship, and many to one relationship. And constraint means a restriction placed on the data. So these are the four important terms we frequently used: entities, attributes, relationships, and constraints. So entity means everything in day-to-day life, or a real world, can be taken as an entity. So in entity is nothing but it is a data to be collected and stored and maintained. For examples, employees, organizations, similarly department designation, students, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనం ఎంటిటీ కింద తీసుకోవచ్చు. సో ఎవ్రీథింగ్ టేకెన్ ఫ్రమ్ real world applications or real world scenarios are taken as entities. Next is attributes. Attributes are nothing but the characteristics or the properties. Attributes means the characteristics or the properties or the of a entity. Means every entity have some attributes or properties or characteristics. For example, student entity have like characteristics like student hall ticket number, name, class, year, medium, like that, address, phone number. So all these are called as attributes or properties or characteristics. Relationships, third term is a relationship. What is a relationship? It is an association between or among two or more entities. Means when you want to join two or more entities or associations or entities, we may create some relationship among them. Generally, these relationships also have some characteristics or attributes or properties. And there are four types of relationships generally: one to many relationship, many to many relationship, and many to one relationship, and one to one relationship. And constraint, last term is constraint. What is a constraint? Constraint means a restriction or a condition to be applied or to be placed while entering or inserting data on a table or a database. So a restriction placed on the data is called as a constraint. Examples are null values are not inserted, and blank values are not inserted, zero values are not inserted, like that. For example, mark should not be negative, mark should not be greater than 100, like that. They are called as constraints, and these constraints are can be applied while entering the data and while inserting the records itself. So relationships are basically four type: one to many, and many to many, and many to one, and one to one. So business rules. What are business rules? How do moderate go about modeling data? By understanding business rules. Brief, precise, and unambiguous descriptions of policies, procedures, or principles with a specific organization. Example: a student may take up to 21 credits. And any organization that stores and uses data to generate information has business rules. Business rules are descriptive of the organization's operations. They help, means generally what are business rules means, they are some nodes or some descriptions or some precise conditions and procedures, policies, principles of a specific organization to solve a given problem. So next is must be rendered in writing, must be kept up to date, sometimes are external to the organization, must be easy to understand and widely dissembled. Means these are business rules should be in easy to understandable manner, in a general English manner, and generally point wise manner. So how to find business rules means by using some company, by discussing with company managers and policy managers, and written documents like procedures, manuals, standards, operational manuals, or direct by taking some interviews with the end users, like that. So the evaluation of the data models. So to convert or to understand the problem definition, problem statement, or to convert the problem statement or the problem process or a problem statement into a Rdbms, before going to convert into it, we may convert into it in a graphical manner or easily understandable manner by using various data models. Generally data models are like tools, like drawing something or drawing some pictures or drawing some graphics, and by using data models only we can easily understand the various data sources, means from where to where the data is flowing, and what are the different databases tables, and what are the different elements of the databases in the organization, like that. So basically there are four types of data models: hierarchical data model, network model, relational model, entity relationship model, and object oriented model. So basically there are five types of models: hierarchical model, network model, relational model, and entity relationship model, and object oriented model. The hierarchical model, developed in 1960s to manage large amounts of data for complex manufacturing projects. Basic logical structure is represented by an upside down tree. Generally hierarchy means, what is a hierarchy? Hierarchy model is generally drawn from, it is a logical structure, or logical diagram of a representation of the database, working of a database. Generally it represented, or it is drawn with from top to bottom, it is called as, in that manner we can represent a hierarchical model by using some tree structures, and every tree have some nodes, root node, leaves, like that. So that type of model is called as an hierarchical model. So this is the simple example of hierarchical structure or hierarchical model. So in the top node, in a hierarchical model, generally it is the data or the logical diagram is represented with the help of some trees, and the top or topmost tree is called, node is called as a tree or a head, or head tree or head, and it contains generally some leaves or leaf nodes and other nodes. So hierarchical model structure contains levels or segments. So in hierarchical model, generally we may represent the data or information in various level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Level 1 is the highest or head node or highest node, and the leaf nodes have the least levels. Depicts a set of one-to-many relationship between a parent and its children segments. Each parent can have many children. Each child has only one parent. Generally, in hierarchical model, we may represent the data or information by using a parent-child manner, and each parent have many children, and each children have only one parent. In that way manner only we may represent or depict the pictures of data hierarchical model. So hierarchical model, what are the disadvantages? So what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages of using hierarchical model? Complex to implement, so it is very difficult to implement or convert using hierarchical models. సో హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్, డేటా మోడల్స్ ఏమున్నాయండి ఒక్కసారి తెలుగులో కూడా చెప్పుకున్నాము. డేటా మోడల్స్ ఏమున్నాయి? హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్, నెట్వర్క్ మోడల్, రిలేషనల్ మోడల్, ఎంటిటీ రిలేషన్షిప్ మోడల్, ఆబ్జెక్ట్ మోడల్. ఇది డేటా మోడల్స్ అనేది కంపల్సరీ ఎస్ఏ టైప్ క్వశ్చన్ అండి. ఫస్ట్ సెకండ్ యూనిట్లోంచి వచ్చే కంపల్సరీ ఎస్ఏ టైప్ క్వశ్చన్. డేటా మోడల్స్ అనేది కంపల్సరీ ఎస్ఏ టైప్ క్వశ్చన్. సో డేటా మోడల్స్ ఎన్ని ఉన్నాయి? 5 మోడల్స్ ఉన్నాయి. హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్, నెట్వర్క్ మోడల్, రిలేషనల్ మోడల్, ఎంటిటీ రిలేషన్షిప్ మోడల్, ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఓరియంటెడ్ మోడల్. సో హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్లో మనకి ట్రీ స్ట్రక్చర్స్ ప్రకారము మనం డేటాని లేదా డేటాబేసెస్ని రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తాం. హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్లో ట్రీ స్ట్రక్చర్లో మనకి రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తాము. ఈ హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్లో మనకి ఇలా ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ దిస్ ఈస్ ద సింపుల్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఆఫ్ ఏ హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్. ఈ హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్లో నోడ్స్ లేదా ట్రీ స్ట్రక్చర్లో మనము డేటా లేదా డేటాబేసెస్ని రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తాము. అలాగే డిఫరెంట్ లెవెల్స్ అనేవి ఉంటాయి. డిఫరెంట్ లెవెల్స్ ఆఫ్ ఉంటాయి. లెవెల్ 1, లెవెల్ 2, లెవెల్ 3, లెవెల్ 4. టాప్ లెవెల్ని మనము లెవెల్ 1 అని అంటాము. బాటమ్ లెవెల్ లేదా లీఫ్ లెవెల్ నోడ్స్లో మనకి బాటమ్ లెవెల్లో అనేవి ఉంటాయి. సో ఈ హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్లో మనకి డిఫరెంట్ లెవెల్స్ ఉంటాయి లేదా సెగ్మెంట్స్ అని ఉంటాయి అన్నమాట. జనరల్గా హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్లో 1 to many రిలేషన్షిప్ అనేది పేరెంట్ అండ్ చైల్డ్ సెగ్మెంట్స్ కింద మనం రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తాం. 1 to many ఎందుకంటే ప్రతి పేరెంట్కి నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ చిల్డ్రన్ అనే వాళ్ళు ఉంటారు. మోర్ దాన్ 1 చిల్డ్రన్ అనేది ఉంటుంది జనరల్గా. ఈచ్ పేరెంట్ కెన్ హ్యావ్ మెనీ చిల్డ్రన్ అండ్ ఈచ్ చైల్డ్ హ్యాస్ ఓన్లీ 1 పేరెంట్. సో 1 to many రిలేషన్షిప్ అనేది ఉంటుంది. సో వాట్ ఆర్ ద డిసడ్వాంటేజెస్ ఆఫ్ యూజింగ్ హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్? సో కాంప్లెక్స్ టు ఇంప్లిమెంట్, difficult to manage, lacks structural independence, implementation limitations, lack of standards, no ad hoc query. So manaki it is very hierarchical model is very difficult to implement and manage. Very difficult because it is having some lengthy long structures in it. So next is network model. Network model ante enti? What are their features? What are their applications? So network model ante enti? What are their features and what are the applications? So network models are created to represent complex data relationship more effectively, improve database performance, impose a database standard, and generally network model is created with database task groups. సో మనకి నెట్వర్క్ మోడల్తో కాంప్లెక్స్ డేటా రిలేషన్షిప్స్ని మనం క్రియేట్ చేయొచ్చు. రిలేషన్షిప్స్ని మనం ఈజీగా రిప్రజెంట్ చేయొచ్చు. అలాగే డేటాబేస్ పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ అనేది కూడా ఇంక్రీజ్ అవుతుంది. అలాగే డేటాబేస్ స్టాండర్డ్స్ అనేవి కూడా మనకి ఫాలో అవ్వచ్చు ఈజీగా. సో నెట్వర్క్ మోడల్ రీఅసెంబుల్స్ హైరార్చికల్ మోడల్. So network modello we may use a set of relationships and records, and generally network model is used with 1:m అంటే 1 to many relationship అనేది మనకి నెట్వర్క్ మోడల్లో మనం యూజ్ అవుతుంది. సో నెట్వర్క్ మోడల్ ఈజ్ జనరల్లీ కన్సిస్ట్ ఆఫ్ some relationship, record types. It is represented with some record type like owners and members. A record network means generally network contains some nodes or clients like that. So we may represent the network model in that way. So this is the example of a network model. సో ఏ నెట్వర్క్ మోడల్ అనేది ఇలా ఉంటుంది మనకి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇక్కడ తీసుకుంటే మనకి డిఫరెంట్ ఒక ఆర్గనైజేషన్లో మనకి ఏం జరుగుతుందంటే ప్రొడక్ట్స్, ఇన్వాయిసెస్, ఇవన్నీ ఎంటిటీస్. ప్రొడక్ట్, ఇన్వాయిసెస్, పేమెంట్స్, కస్టమర్, సేల్స్ రిప్రజెంటేటివ్స్ ఇవన్నీ ఉంటాయి. సో సేల్స్ రిప్రజెంటేటివ్ టు ఇన్వాయిస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఏ 1 to many. Customer to sales invoice or customer to payment is 1 to many, and product to invoice line is 1 to many, and invoice to invoice line is 1 to many. So this is a type of network. Generally in network model we may represent some root nodes or some clients or some client or some nodes representation anamata. So disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of using network models? too cumbersome means too confusion or too complex, and the lack of ad hoc query capability put heavy pressure on programmers, and any structural change in the database could provide ad hoc in an application program that draw. So many database old timers can recall that. So it is difficult and difficult to implement and difficult to understand. So third model is a relational model. So what is a relational model? It is developed by CORD of IBM Corporation in 1970. Considered ingenious but impractical in 1970, conceptually simple, computers lacked power to implement the relational model. Today, microcomputers can run sophisticated relational databases software. So, relational model is very easy and it is simple to follow and implement any database. A relational database, generally relational model is formed from, a relational model is created or formed for Rdbms or relational database models. Relational database management systems performs same basic functions provided by hierarchical and network DBMS in addition to a host of other functions. Most important advantage of the Rdbms is its ability to hide the complexities of the relational model from the user. So in relational models, we may use a table. Table means a relation. Matrix table is nothing but it is also called as a matrix consisting of series of rows and columns, intersections related to each other through sharing a common entity characteristic. So generally relational model lo manaki ee table అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ అనేది మనం యూస్ చేస్తాం. రిలేషనల్ మోడల్లో టేబుల్స్ అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ అనేది మనం యూస్ చేస్తాం. టేబుల్ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ రిలేషన్. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో జనరల్లీ ఏ టేబుల్ ఆర్ ఏ రిలేషన్ కన్సిస్ట్ ఆఫ్ some it is looks like a matrix. It contains some set of some rows and columns, and relational diagrams. By using some relational diagrams we may create or design relational models. So relational models లో మనకి రిలేషనల్ డయాగ్రామ్స్ లేదా టేబుల్స్ లేదా రిలేషనల్ డయాగ్రామ్స్ యూస్ చేసి రిలేషనల్ మోడల్ని మనము డ్రా చేస్తాం. సో రిప్రజెంటేషన్ ఆఫ్ రిలేషనల్ డేటాబేసెస్ ఎంటిటీస్ అట్రిబ్యూట్స్ within those entities and relationships between those entities. So generally by using relational diagrams are nothing but some tables. We may create or we may use a relational models. So relational table generally used to store a collection of related entities, and a relational table is purely logical structure. How data are physically stored in the database is of no concern, and this property become the source of a real world data revolution. So this is the simple example of using a relational model. This is the example of a రిలేషనల్ మోడల్. ఇక్కడ మనకి ఏముందండి, టేబుల్లో మనకి రిలేషన్ చెప్పుకున్నాం. రిలేషనల్ మోడల్లో మనం ఎలా రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తాము, రిలేషనల్ మోడల్ని మనము రిప్రజెంట్ చేయడానికి వీఆర్ యూజింగ్ సమ్ table representation or matrix representation having some rows and columns. So every table have some table heading and some columns are fields, and some rows are called as tuples or records. A row is nothing but a collection of all fields of a column, and a column contains all the data or information of a similar field. For example, ఇక్కడ 2 tables తీసుకున్నాము. Database name is insurance and టేబుల్ నేమ్ ఇస్ ఏజెంట్ అండ్ కస్టమర్ జనరల్గా ఇక్కడ టేబుల్ నేమ్ ఏంటంటే రిలేషనల్ మోడల్లో మనం టేబుల్ అనేది కాన్సెప్ట్ యూస్ చేస్తాం. వాట్ ఈస్ ఏ టేబుల్? టేబుల్ ఈజ్ ఏ nothing but it is having some rows and columns or fields, and every table have some unique name, and the intersection of a row and a column is called as some data. So in customer table lo manaki em untay, we are using some customer table having some details like customer code, customer last name, first name, initial, customer area code, customer phone number, customer renewal date, agent code, like that. And another table is called as insurance or insurance agent table, like agent code, agent name, last name, first name, initial, area code, agent phone, like that. Here agent code is the common Agent code is the common for both the tables. By linking through agent code, we may create some join, create or join, or create some relations among them. So ikkada this is the example of a relational model with the two tables. So relational model rise to dominate due in part of its powerful and flexible to query language. Structured query language SQL allows the user to simplify what must be done without specifying how it must be done. SQL based relational database application involves user interfaces, a set of tables stored in the table SQL engine. So the entity relationship model, the fourth model is the entity relationship model, ER model, widely accepted and adopted graphical tool for data modeling, introduced by Chen in 1976. Graphical representation of entities and their relationships in a database structure. So ER model is the one of the important model. Relational model and ER model. Relational model and ER model are the two important concepts. Relational model and ER model are two important concepts for database design. It is a graphical representation of entities and their relationship in a database structure. So ER model have some symbols used in it. We will discuss it in later. So last model is object oriented model, modeled both data and their relationships in a single structure known as object. Object oriented data model OODM is the basis for the object oriented database management system. So this is the simple example of a object oriented model. So ER model and object oriented model. So this is the diagram of using various data models. Data models is an essay type question, compulsory essay type question.